so afraid to pay his dollar to get in here? Don't let him back or nothing.
Envision training alongside Muhammad Ali, achieving the title of heavyweight champion of the world.
You think you're a better fighter now than you were when you were champion?
Well, I don't think so.
Well, I try to box as much as I can, but after he get me pinned or chase me into a corner, I got to fight my way out.
Only to find oneself employed by the City Parks Department. It may sound like the premise of a film, yet for Jimmy Ellis, this was his reality. Before the misfortune, there was success. Before the stillness, there were enthusiastic crowds. This is the story of a man who once shared the ring with legends, only to disappear from the limelight gradually. What unforeseen circumstances led Jimmy from the boxing ring to a conventional job, or to the terminal illness that ultimately claimed his life? Let us rewind time and revisit the ascent and decline of a man who once stood alongside icons in the sport. Jimmy Ellis was born on February 24, 1940, in Louisville, Kentucky. As one of 10 children in a devout Christian family, he was raised with a strong work ethic imparted by his father, Walter, a pastor. During his teenage years, Jimmy found employment in a cement finishing factory. While it was not a glamorous job, it provided for his family. However, fate has a peculiar way of altering paths. One day while watching television, Jimmy saw his friend Donnie Hall competing in an amateur boxing match against none other than Cassius Clay, who would later become Muhammad Ali. As he observed the match, a thought ignited in his mind. I could do better than that. What did Jimmy do next? He sought out Joe Martin, a police officer who had been training Clay. Martin recognized talent when he saw it, and he saw potential in Jimmy, reminiscent of what he had seen in Clay. Soon, Jimmy and Cassius were not merely training partners, but also close friends. Imagine that. Two young men from Louisville, both on the path to boxing greatness. Jimmy dedicated himself to amateur boxing with unwavering determination. Out of 66 matches, he emerged victorious in 59. This achievement is not merely commendable, it is extraordinary. He even earned the title of Golden Gloves champion. Yet Jimmy was not satisfied. He aspired to achieve something even greater, the Olympics. In 1960, Jimmy narrowly missed securing a place on the Olympic team. He fought valiantly, but ultimately fell short against Wilbert McClure, who subsequently claimed the gold medal. While losing an opportunity to compete in the Olympics might have devastated many, it only fueled Jimmy's resolve to succeed. Just a year later, he bid farewell to the cement factory and embraced the world of professional boxing. His debut match resulted in a victory over Arlie Cipher at Freedom Hall in Louisville, marking a promising start to his career. However, Jimmy was not merely a man who exchanged cement for the boxing ring. He was an individual with grand aspirations. He assessed his situation and declared, "I can achieve more." The narrative also highlights the significance of friendship. Consider the bond between Jimmy and Cassius Clay, two young men from the same hometown, both ascending to prominence in the boxing arena. Who could have foreseen such a remarkable journey? Yet the transition to professional boxing is not always the idyllic conclusion that many envision. For Jimmy, it resembled the opening of Pandora's box. Imagine this. In 1961, Ellis, youthful and eager, set out to dominate the middleweight division. However, the ensuing years would prove to be tumultuous. While he began accumulating victories, he also faced defeats, some of which were particularly challenging to endure. Take, for instance, his initial bout against Holly Mims. Ellis entered the ring brimming with confidence, but Mims had other plans. This encounter resulted in Jimmy's first professional loss, a painful experience. Nevertheless, 6 months later, they faced off again. This time, Jimmy had prepared thoroughly. He had learned from his previous encounter, adapted his strategy, and ultimately avenged that loss. It was a gratifying victory and a harbinger of future successes. Now let us turn our attention to 1962. Henry Hank, boasting 73 fights, proved to be a formidable opponent. Ellis endured a punishing match, his face marred by blood and bruises. Yet he refused to succumb easily, fighting fiercely until the final bell, only to lose by decision. This experience served as a tough lesson, underscoring Jimmy's indomitable spirit. In 1964, the scene is set at Madison Square Garden, illuminated by bright lights and a grand stage. Ellis finds himself in the ring against the formidable Reuben Hurricane Carter. For 4 rounds, Jimmy stands his ground, exchanging punches with one of the most feared fighters in the sport. However, in the 5th round, Hurricane lives up to his name, and Ellis finds himself on the canvas. Although he rises to his feet, it proves insufficient, resulting in another defeat by unanimous decision. By the conclusion of 1964, Ellis's record stands at 15 victories and 5 losses. While this may be commendable for many, it falls short of greatness. The defeats to Don Fulmer and George Benton served as crucial wake-up calls. At this juncture, Ellis recognizes he is at a pivotal moment in his career. During that era, the middleweight division resembled a perilous shark tank, where every match was a battle and each opponent posed a significant threat. Although Ellis had been navigating this treacherous environment, he began to feel vulnerable. He required an advantage, something to elevate him to the next level. It is often said that behind every successful man is a supportive woman. And for Jimmy, that woman was his wife, Mary. She was not merely his partner, she was his staunchest supporter and foundation. When Jimmy's career began to falter, Mary took decisive action. Imagine Jimmy Ellis, a once promising middleweight, contemplating retirement. Yet Mary believed in his potential and was resolute in her mission to demonstrate it. What did Mary do? She took pen to paper and composed a letter. Not just any letter, but one addressed to the renowned Angelo Dundee, the trainer of Muhammad Ali. She concluded her correspondence with a heartfelt plea, P.S. HEEEELP. Upon receiving the letter, Dundee was captivated by its sincerity. Whether it was the palpable emotion or the hint of untapped talent, something compelled him to offer Jimmy an opportunity. Jimmy prepared his belongings and made his way to Miami. However, upon arriving at Dundee's gym, he was far from resembling a heavyweight contender. Weighing only 150 pounds and suffering from tonsillitis, he must have left Dundee perplexed. Yet Dundee, a master trainer, recognized the potential that others might not have. He observed Jimmy and thought, "This young man possesses something special. He simply requires guidance." And so they embarked on a rigorous training regimen. The journey was challenging, but Jimmy began to transform with consistent effort, proper nutrition, and relentless training. Victories soon followed, including impressive knockout wins. Under Dundee's mentorship, Ellis achieved an astonishing 7 consecutive victories, 3 of which were first-round knockouts. Dundee understood that the real financial rewards lay within the heavyweight division. Thus, Jimmy continued to strive and evolve. The 150-pound individual who had arrived in Miami was now a formidable fighting machine, prepared to face any challenge. You may be questioning, while he may excel against middleweights, how will he perform against heavyweights? This was indeed the pivotal inquiry. Jimmy had made significant progress, but the ultimate challenge loomed ahead. As Dundee remarked, "I merely refined his skills. He had immense talent." That talent was on the brink of being tested. Jimmy Ellis was poised for greatness, having transitioned from a struggling middleweight to a heavyweight contender. The question remained, could he compete with the elite, such as Ali, Frazier, and Foreman? Recall the moment when Muhammad Ali was stripped of his title. It was akin to a reset for the heavyweight division, filled with chaos, uncertainty, and opportunity. Amid this turmoil stood Jimmy Ellis, the fighter who had clawed his way up from the middleweight ranks, now presented with a golden opportunity to ascend to the pinnacle of boxing.